Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shanae, and we have another guest today here on the Given Name podcast. Today we have Leslie.
Hello, everyone. I'm a waiver. My name is Leslie Dickey, and that's just Leslie. Dickey, like Mickey Mouse, but with the D. So Dickey. I am currently living in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I grew up here the second half of my childhood. I started in Brooklyn, New York. Grew up there for a little bit, moved to Virginia Beach, and I've also had the opportunity of living overseas for quite a few years. So we lived in Spain and Japan for a while. And now we're back in Virginia Beach. I am a she, her, in terms of my gender. I am a Black American woman, African American, if you will. Um, my mother is from High Point, North Carolina, does not have a whole lot of deep family ties for lots of reasons, which we may or may not get into today. My father is from Bushwick, Brooklyn, and his father is from Trinidad and Tobago. So um, my family history is, pretty much a solid mix of some version of Black, right? And that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've got two children, been married to my husband over 20 years at this point, and just happy to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, that was great.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm going to start us off with a random question
Okay.
from my Dr. Awkward card set. Are you ready?
As much as one can be, yes.
Okay. I just lost it. Wait for a plane to take off or to deboard a plane? Which would you rather do?
Oh, deboard.
Deboard so that you're going home?
Well, I was thinking so that I'm going where I'm going.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, on vacation. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, some people would rather wait before, but yeah, I'd rather wait to get off because then I
Yeah.
don't have to have that full flight ahead of me while I'm waiting.
Yeah. Plus, I'm not a fan of flying. It's a necessary evil. So the
Hmm.
waiting is just nerves building up anyway. So if I can just get off, we're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love a car ride. Love a road trip. A plane is like I
Yeah.
don't know. Okay, so again, thank you for being on today, and I am going to ask you the big question.
Yes.
Tell me about your name.
Okay, so my name is Leslie. Like I said, it was my father's middle name. So my mother, in all of her great wisdom, she was so in love, decided that she wanted to name me her firstborn, his firstborn as well, after my dad. So she plucked his middle name right out and gave it to me. She did not change the spelling at all because the thing about Leslie is that it can be spelled um, two different ways, really, with an IE or an EY. And traditionally, the EY is a more feminine spelling, supposedly. So I have what one might consider the masculine spelling of the name. But I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine it being an EY. I think I'm an IE for sure. Um, and my middle name is Iman. And that name was given to me by my father. He probably like most men back then thought the model was beautiful, and so he decided to name me that. And I never once in my entire life heard my father call me Leslie. He always called me Iman. He's never,
Oh,
yeah, he's never used my first name, at least not with me. And so as an aside, when he passed in 2016, the first thing I thought was, I'm never gonna hear my name again. And so it was
yeah,
kind of like, wow. So yeah.
that's deep.
Yeah.
That's really deep. Could you spell Iman?
So it's Iman. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like the model. Yes. I'd like to think that,
Inspired.
on my best days, I'm kind of, sort of in the
Channeling.
realm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do people oh, okay, this is what I was gonna say. My mom is a Francis and she's an ES. And so she says that the I is for guys and
Yeah.
like the E is for girls. So when you were talking about Leslie being an EY, I was like, no, I like the IE because it came from your dad.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. I always think it's wrong when I see the EY, but but I know it's not. I'm just a little, a little bougie Leslie. So there you go.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Do people mispronounce your name?
So no. it- it- and I'm not even sure how free I am to say this, but it's white enough, right? So no one ever really mispronounces it. Now, I will say that I have been misgendered in writing,
Mm.
because the IE is typically male. So I worked for the Department of Navy for 15 years and did a lot of correspondence with active duty personnel. And a lot of times I would get sir, 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 and I'd have to kind of, nope, I'm a ma'am, but let me answer your question. Or people getting surprised when they call after having corresponded with me. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm a girl. But not mispronounced. So I will say that I'm thankful for that, because that's not fun.
No, yeah. Do you know what you were almost named? Do your parents have any other options?
No, my mom was like, she just loved my dad. So because I actually asked her after we kind of spoke, and she didn't even consider any other names.
Oh,
And my dad, I don't know if he ever did, because like I said, he's gone, and so I couldn't ask him that question. But um, whether he did or not, he fully locked in on Iman. He committed to it, and so that's what I was as far as he was concerned. Um, so yeah, I've always been Leslie Iman. So.
it seems like since it's that great, like it seems like a really strong connection with your dad. Have you ever felt any different way about having the name Leslie, or is it always just like, no, my dad, and so it's love?
So, no. Growing up, I was the only Black Leslie I knew. I don't think I met another Black Leslie until, man, I was good and grown. And I think what actually happened was I met a girlfriend in Japan, and she said, "Oh, my sister's name is Leslie, so I
Oh,
won't have a hard time remembering it." And I was like, "Oh my God, like what?" And then when we moved to Spain, I met another woman, and she was like, "My sister's name is Leslie." And so I haven't met a whole lot of them in person, but I have run into some other Black folks who have Leslie's pretty close to them. And so it always felt, when I was younger anyway, like like I was different, right? Because nobody
mhm.
I knew had this name. Um and it was, it was white.
Yeah.
And um kids are not nice about things like that, and especially not in the 70s, when there was no sensitivity to anything. You just had to get through it. um but as I got older, honestly, I didn't really think much about it. It's just who I was.
Yeah.
Um, Especially since, if you like look up what the name means, it's really not that impressive.
What is
It's really like basic, and it means all these positive, happy things, but it's also like defender of the gray castle or something weird like that. and and I'm like, well, that don't even mean nothing. But
it? It is.
so it's just, but as I've gotten older, I've appreciated it more, because still in my day-to-day life, I don't know any personally. Oh, I take that back. That is not true.
You know what?
I do. She's white. She goes
Oh.
she goes to my church, and she is just so delightful.
Does she
she
spell it the same?
she does.
Okay.
She does. That was kind of how we actually connected, because I was like, "Oh, I'm Leslie, you're Leslie." And she's really delightful. She's far more bubbly than I am naturally. Like, she's more in alignment with the Leslie name, I think.
Leslie's tend to be upbeat. Is that?
I don't know. I'm assuming so. I'm not generally. No one would call me upbeat if they were describing me. But it's nice. It's kind of like a human version of balance in my world. So yeah.
Love it. Okay. Um, so about like your name now, and I wanted to go back to something that you said. I almost lost that thought. You said that it's white enough, and so that you've never met any. any Black Leslies directly.
Right.
So does that have an effect on how you felt about your name growing up, even past like elementary school, like going into high school and things? Did you feel othered, or is it again because of your dad? Like, how
Um,
did you juggle that?
I don't know. Well, I definitely felt othered when I was younger, right? Because they came up with all kinds of wonderful names to call me that,
Gotcha.
you know, but as I got older, I don't think anyone really gave it any thought. And I know I certainly didn't give it a whole lot of thought. My parents hadn't been actually together since I was 3.
Mm,
And my father and I weren't particularly close. We weren't estranged or anything, but him and my mother were definitely estranged. And so, at least for years they were. They reconciled on the back end, but
well, good.
well, not together, but they made
Okay.
peace.
Okay. We'll
They
take it.
made peace, but and so I didn't think a whole lot about it. I didn't think about, like I said, it just was who I was. And so, um the only other time I ever felt differently is if someone asked how I spelled it, and I was like, "Yeah, IE," because they would typically spell it EY, and I'd have to correct them, um,
Mhm.
and that happened a lot. But and then as I got older, and my father got older, and we kind of had a healthier relationship, um, it mattered, right?
Yeah.
Because it mattered. And it's also my brother's middle name. So I won't
Huh.
tell you his name because he is mortified that his
Really?
yes. Because my mother turned right around and named my brother after my dad. So first, middle, and last. Yeah. So
Wow.
she loved that man.
You did.
She did. Whew. So
Can
yeah.
I ask how long your dad was in your life?
So he was never gone, right? They weren't together. But back in the 70s, it wasn't this whole like this co-parenting thing, right? It
Mhm,
was we saw him when we went over there, and if he didn't come around, we'd go stretches without seeing him, but he was never gone, right? We knew who he was. For the most part, we knew he loved us.
mhm,
He showed up at holidays and did all of those things. And then when I turned 30, almost 30, I was having my first child. And that is the point where my father and I actually started to get close. Um, and honestly, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that once I realized I was going to be a parent, it
mhm,
was easier to look at my dad as a flawed human who just, you know, unfortunately, we were kind of the casualties of him having to grow up and mature, and, my
mhm,
mom too, to some degree. Um, and so it was easier for me to get over the, you should have been around more, and, you shouldn't have had other children. And so so it worked out. It worked out on the back end. And I'm glad that I have it because I don't have him anymore.
mhm.
Oh, I don't want to cry. I just feel like
No.
I just feel like the time got cut short and it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to have him very long as an adult in a healed kind of situation.
Mhm.
But I have him, right? I have him in my
Yeah.
first name, I have him in my middle name. So um that's nice. It's nice to have that to take with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a gift now that your mother gave you of, like, he's so ingrained in your life even though he wasn't
Yeah.
there every day, it's in your identity.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Whew, yeah.
Alright, let me change the subject then
No,
so we
it's
don't.
okay. I don't
Okay,
mind crying on camera.
okay. So could you tell me more about naming your children? Like, did your dad also have a play in this?
So he didn't. So
Okay.
my son is named after my husband's grandfather, who was his male figure, his real male role model. He was the man who had the most impact on his life as he was growing up.
Mhm.
So my son is named John Wesley, right after his I guess his grandfather or great grandfather. And my daughter actually was going to be, oh God, I almost hate to say it, was going to be a Hannah Joy,
Uh-huh.
but a woman at my church stole the name and named her daughter Hannah Joy.
She stole it?
She did, and, of course, you can't prove that, right? Like, I
Right,
can't be like,
right, but
"You me say it," but, honestly, it's probably for the best because I cannot imagine my daughter being anything more than the Olivia Simone that she is now. Like,
oh,
she is Olivia, right? So, um, sometimes things like that just happen for a reason, and so, we just wanted to be sure that the names we chose for our children meant something,
mhm,
and we also wanted to be sure that, um, at least on paper, no one could weed them out because of what their name looked like or how it was sounded or spelled or anything like that, because that was important. My husband
mhm.
wanted to name her Sapphire,
Uh-huh.
and I said no.
I grew up with a sapphire, yeah,
Did you really?
she was black,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I have grown a lot since then, but at the time I was like, that's like a stripper name. Why would you want to name your daughter Sapphire? Like, welcome to the stage, Sapphire.
Sapphire!
Um, right. I've grown since then and my views on things like that have expanded, but that wouldn't have been a good name for her either. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest, she is exactly who she is, and I think her name suits her perfectly. Yeah.
Amazing. Have you
Yeah.
had these conversations with your kids? Like, do they ask?
Um, so my son does because he's like, y'all gave me the most basic name, John, just John. And I'm like, yeah, but John, I don't know. Because it's a family name, it matters, right?
Mhm.
And my daughter never really asks. All she does is just she roasts me for thinking Hannah Joy was a good name in the first place. She's like, I can't even believe you considered that.
Wow.
Um, I know. She's a teenager, so I get roasted pretty frequently. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but my son mostly his thing is, why is my name so basic? And I'm like, well, your dad, he had just lost his grandfather shortly before we found out I was pregnant, and so the first thing he said was, if it's a boy, can we name him after my granddad? And once I heard what his grandfather's name was, I was like, yeah, we can do that because I had to check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
can't
if it
just
was like
blindly put
Rufus or Cletus, it wasn't
yeah.
gonna happen.
No thanks, Leroy.
No.
Yeah. Um, is your son a junior?
He is not. He is a third,
Okay.
but in the tradition of lots of folks that would consider themselves Black, I think there are two or three other John Dickey the thirds somewhere in the family. Like, nobody actually followed the line.
Oh, that's funny.
So he's a third. And I just think it works. But I can't imagine him being anything other than that name. I think it suits him. I don't think he thinks it suits him, but um, he'll appreciate it when he's 40, I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope.
Come on the podcast then. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Is what was I gonna ask? Are there nicknames that your son goes by? Like, is he Trey around the house or anything?
So we call him J Dub, right?
Okay.
Um, I usually call him John West, like, and but when he's out in the street, he's just John, right? Nobody calls him John West except for like his mama. And
Mhm.
then because no one knows who he is, I still call him Munchkin. Um,
Oh.
and he's gotten like he finally moved through that stage where he didn't want me to call him that publicly, and now he's like, I mean, granted, he don't want me hollering it, down this block, but
Yeah.
if I'm like, okay, Munchkin, see you later, he doesn't give me the ma please. So
That's so sweet too.
yeah,
Wow.
he's my Munchkin. He's not anymore. He's bigger than me, but
That's your munchkin.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any other thoughts, like when you were naming your kids,
Mhm.
do you think that it was crucial to give them a passable name, I guess, for, I guess, our society today,
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
I did. Um, I'm Gen X, right? So we grew up, we're probably the last group of people that was really entrenched in like respectability, politics and act a certain way and dress a certain way. And, um, and so it was important. It was very important that my children have whatever opportunities they had earned, and that they wouldn't be cheated of those things because somebody didn't like, LaQuisha or Kobe or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
so it was something that I actually did give conscious thought to. Um, and my husband, I think he did, but not like I did, right? Because we already had the boy's name kind of already squared away. We didn't really have to think a lot about that, but it was important. It was important. Because before I got married, my last name was Niwalo,
Okay.
and
With a N or
so
K?
Newallo.
Okay.
Um, that's my maiden name, and so no one ever really knew what I was then either, because no one ever saw that name. And if I did, then I knew we were family because there were
Mhm.
no other Niwalos. So I've always had the anonymity of a
Mhm.
passable, culturally acceptable, at least ambiguous name. And I think it and I don't know if this is true, but I do definitely feel like sometimes it allowed me to enter spaces that I deserved to be in, that I might not otherwise have been given the opportunity to be in.
Yeah.
And so, and I could be wrong, but so it was important. It was important when I was thinking about that. And then, of course, now, they do all these studies about resumes that get discarded based on
Mhm.
names and things like that. And I don't want that to be my children's experience. I wanted to do whatever we could to equip them to move through life with as much ease as a Black person in this society can move through life. So yeah, it was important. It was very important.
That's very nice. I'm glad that you had that intention thinking about it because
Okay.
even, like you say this to a white person with a common name, and they're like, oh, that doesn't happen in 2025. And you're like, no, you just don't.
Yeah,
It's
it
not in your
does.
circle. Yeah.
Right.
So you're not paying attention to it. But yeah,
Right.
I think that that is great that you were so intentional about it. Also, the nicknames for your kids are super cute. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They are definitely who they are, because I feel like Simon or means something like I will be heard, and my daughter is definitely someone who you will hear. Like
Okay.
like, so maybe we should have thought about that a little bit more. Because for years she was a loud talker. I had to be like,
Yeah.
baby inside voice. And now it has transmuted, I guess, into just a very strong sense of self and strong sense of her own voice. And you will hear it, whether or not you agree with it or like it. It's not really relevant for her, but you're gonna get all of this today. So
Is she off to college yet or close to
no,
college?
no, well, close. She's 15, she's in 10th
Okay.
grade, so we got a couple more years with her here at home. My son is going into his junior year next year in
In
college.
college or high
Hmm.
school? Okay.
College. And
Nice.
but they're both home, they're both still in the house. And you know they, they're good kids, and their names suit them, I think.
I'd be very interested to know what your daughter decides to major in since she has that really strong sense of self.
Yeah, me too. Up until recently it was med school, but she is since reconsidering some things. So I'm just looking forward to seeing who they become
Yeah.
in general, just because so far so good. I actually like my kids.
And everybody cannot say that. They won't admit to
No,
it, but
no.
yeah.
So
Okay, well, I have one last question for
okay,
you, and then we'll start to wrap up.
okay.
Did you ever find your name in the customizable like keychains or necklaces that they
Uh,
had pre-made?
every now and then I would find a Leslie with the IE.
Mhm.
Every now and then for a couple of years, Hallmark was really on a good run with the Christmas ornaments, because I was buying ornaments with everyone's name on it. And they were on a run with those, and then but then they went away again. So it's a roll of the dice. I never really got a whole lot of things, but here's the flip side to that, right? We didn't have a whole lot growing up. So where was I going where I was buying a name keychain anyways?
Mhm.
But no, I never did find a whole lot of them. Now, the EY was plentiful, but
Yeah, that
I
wasn't
refused
you.
to settle.
Is it important to you to see your name in places? Like, did you have your name on something growing up?
Um, I mean, I think like most kids, I wrote my name, I doodled it on everything.
Mhm.
Um, I think that it wasn't important until it was, right? So, excuse me, I didn't think a lot about it, but then when I found it somewhere, I was always really excited, like, oh my gosh, they actually have my name. And then, kind of fade into the background. And then, of course, as I got older and started learning about like Leslie Nielsen and, Leslie Odom Jr. and all these other Leslies, they're all men, but,
Mhm.
you know, um, it was like, okay, well, the name isn't as obscure as it feels because it
Yeah.
does feel like you don't hear it anymore. And you probably don't to some degree, but it's always cool to stumble across it somewhere because then I'm always kind of geeked, like, okay, I
We out here.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say while we close up? Anything that you want to share but didn't get a chance to?
Oh wow. No, I think that what's most important, I mean, for me and for anyone else, is that um, regardless of what your parents end up naming you or how they named you, what's most important is just to kind of be who you are. And in my case, I feel like who I am is in alignment with parts of my name for sure. But I feel like also because of who I am, I have broadened the definition of what a Leslie is, and I,
Mhm.
that may be a little egotistical and a little like big headed, but um,
We're gonna call it true. Yeah.
okay, I'll go with true, and so just lean into whatever it is, right? You just embrace it because your parents chose the name for a reason, however vague or flippant or whatever it might have been, they made that choice for you. And so, all you can do is embrace it and, just just rock with it, right? Like this is me and and love it. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Do you want to let folks know where to find you, or do you have anything to push out to the audience?
Not particularly. I am Brown Betty Photography on Instagram. So if you ever kind of want to see what I do in my free time, I take pictures. My kids are on there too. Not as much now because photographers' kids get tired of taking pictures. But so if they want to see kind of the inner voice that's running in my head, that would probably be the best place to find me. And but other than that, I'm just happy to be here. I'm glad you invited me on, and this has been really, really delightful.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you came, and I'll put your Instagram handle in the show notes so that they can click and follow you there. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your time and for your honesty.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, it was a fun opportunity. And then maybe there is a little Leslie, a little black girl Leslie out there somewhere who'll be like, oh, okay, there's more of me.
Yeah,
When she sees your podcast, it's like, okay, I'm not the only one. So,
I love it. It's just it feels like a hug now. Okay. Well, that's where we conclude for now. Tune in next week, Monday around noon, and find another episode of the Given Name podcast. If you would like to be a guest or have questions that you want to add to Given Name podcast, please at me on Threads or DM me on Instagram at awkward_PhD. Thank you so much to our guests. You can find their info in the show notes. Take care, y'all, and be safe.